So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about some of the best zombie cards that Yu-Gi-Oh has to offer. So zombies, of course, like they're kind of just garbage. So if we have Uni-Zombie, just for example, uh, Uni-Zombie reads completely crazy, right? So Uni-Zombie, we can target one face-up monster on the field, and we can do some level modulation. And we're able to discard one card from our hand, and we're also able to send any zombie monster in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh from our deck to the graveyard. And if we do, we increase the target's level by 1. So we can use both of these effects every single turn, right? But here's the thing. If we activate Uni-Zombie, problem. They're no good targets. So we'll go over some of the targets we have, right? So we have Mizuki, which reads completely insanely cracked. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a zombie monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. So this looks like a good Foolish Burial target, right? Wrong, because this does nothing. We send the Mizuki, right? And then what? We have nothing to reborn. Does literally nothing. All right. Gozuki. How about Gozuki? If we send Gozuki, it has the effect to banish a zombie monster from our graveyard, then special summon a zombie monster from our hand. Wait, this effect's good, right? We can special summon a zombie monster from our hand. Now, this is also bad, because we need to have a zombie monster in our graveyard to banish. Oh, but it does have the Foolish Burial effect as well, which... What are we going to Foolish Burial? Another copy of Gozuki? Like, what? Yeah, that can really get into it, but essentially, yeah, these cards all bad. Also, yeah, these guys are kind of bricks as well, so that doesn't help. Like Mizuki, if it's not hard once per turn, then you'd play 3, right? Oh wait, these guys are completely useless in hand. That's right. So there is that issue. And then even if we send a card from hand and then one into the graveyard, so let's say we have Uni-Zombie and Gozuki in hand, and it's just these two and no other zombies, you can't really accomplish anything with these two, sadly. So yeah, that sucks. But we can make like a Synchro 9. Not that there's a zombie Synchro 9 to really make, right? Let's see. Real quick, might as well check Mad Mauler to see what level this requires. 6 or higher. This would only go to level 5. So if we do Uni-Zombie adjust level on itself 2 times, sending Gozuki Mizuki, bring back the Gozuki with Mizuki effect, then we send Mad Mauler. We can't summon the Mad Mauler to make Immortal. Not that we have anything good to send off of Immortal at this point, because so far we're, in this case, we'd be like sending a guy to summon a guy, but then that guy that doesn't really make anything, and then we're able to send just one guy, but we need to send 2 guys to essentially do something. So we clearly just don't have enough material. But yeah, today we're going to cover all of the best kind of zombie cards that are out there, I guess. So first we'll just go with a copy of Book of Life, and I will just say this card, not that great, but this card is pretty neat that it exists. That's all I have to say about this one. We can target a zombie monster in your graveyard and one monster in your opponent's graveyard, so our opponent requires a monster in the graveyard. That's the only issue with this card. Otherwise it would be just okay. Still, we also have the issue, of course, of having to need a zombie monster in our graveyard and then hard opening this not searchable card. But I mean, as a card, it's not like the worst thing in the world, which is sometimes what we have to take into account. But for an actually good card, we have Shiroi Swallow Slash. So Swallow Slash honestly is one of the most cracked zombie cards out there. So this is a trap, which is kind of a downside. If it was a quick play spell, it would be a little bit more cracked. to some extent, but also worse in some other regards. But in general, Swallow Slash is insane. So we attribute a zombie monster, then we target 2 cards on the field, destroy them. So one downside, I guess, is it's not up to 2 here, but cards that work like this, like, there are a lot of cards that kind of work like this, so not a big deal. So we target 2 cards on the field, destroy them, then banish 1 Shiroi monster from the deck. And of course, the Shiroi monster you want to be banishing here is going to be Shiroi Spirit Master. If this card is banished, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, destroy it. So Swallow Slash here has a lot of different usages, actually. So first off, because it is a trap, we can activate this despite Secret Village being active, for example, or any like spell negate cards, but cards that don't negate traps. We can kind of bypass it with the Swallow Slash. So for example, Electric Jellyfish. This specifically, or wait, did I spell it that wrong? Electric Jellyfish. So this card specifically only negates monster effects or spell cards. So right here, right? This is in fact a trap, completely just ignoring this monster, more or less. So that's a situation where this would be potentially useful, or against like floodgates. This is insanely cracked. So for example, let's assume we have a zombie world active, because you probably would. If you're playing this card, there's a good chance we're able to do so. So with zombie world active, all monsters on the field and in the graveyards become zombie monsters. And then this means that with Shiroi style Swallow Slash, we can tribute any monster we control, which doesn't seem like much, but yeah, this is pretty cracked. So if our opponent has a skill drain active or some kind of targeted effect, like perhaps target destruction, targeted banishment, it could be a targeted negate, like infinite impermanence, so just something like this, or even a forbidden droplet. We can kind of avoid the forbidden droplet with the effect of Swallow Slash. And because we are allowed to destroy 2 cards on the field, if our opponent activated, for example, forbidden droplet and then did not send a trap, I can destroy, let's say, I'll tribute 1 guy, then I will destroy my copy of, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but I can destroy a monster on my field, and then forbidden droplet, and that would allow my guy to resolve whatever I'm tributing. And because of this specifically tributing for cost, we could, for example, special summon Baron. Baron effect targeting skill drain with the effect to pop, and then we can tribute Swallow Slash, and we can pop 2 other cards or whatever. And then even if you were to Solemn Judgment at this point, it's too late. We would kind of have dealt with the we would have dealt with the skill drain or whatever. Then of course we also get to banish the Spirit Master with this effect, which is an additional pop. The only unfortunate downside about Spirit Master is it only pops face-up cards. But still, pop 3 is pretty cracked. And then the additional usage of the tribute, like, this has a lot of potential here. And if we really need to, for some reason, destroy one of our own cards, we have that option. Like, if we needed to out an yugioh or something, we could technically do that in various ways, like activate Zombie World, tribute yugioh. Don't activate Zombie World, we tribute a guy, pop the yugioh, and pop 2 of our opponent's cards, because we still have the Spirit Master pop as well. So surprisingly cracked card. The only downside is that this is fairly hard to search. Like, it's not literally unsearchable, because you can technically search this off of, let's see, what was it? Pretty sure one of these guys searches it, right? Which one of you searches? this. You can add one Shiroi card from your deck to your hand. Shiroi style Swallow Slash is indeed a Shiroi card, so yeah, getting that onto the field. Don't ask me how you do that though. So yeah, Swallow Slash, insanely correct zombie card. And then I gush over this card every now and then. Return of the Zombies. So Return of the Zombies, one of my favorite cards just in general. So this card might seem like it doesn't do much, but I swear every time you read this card, it feels like it gains another effect. So with Return of the Zombies, if we pair this with Zombie World, so the unfortunate thing is we have to pair it with Zombie World, whereas Shiroi style Swallow Slash would be somewhat generically usable by any zombie deck, period. This requires more or less Zombie World to kind of unlock its full potential. But its full potential is pretty insane. So if we are going first, we can set this on the first turn, right? And we're going to assume we have Zombie World active. So banish one zombie monster on the field, then special summon one zombie monster from the graveyard of the player who controlled it to their field in defense position. So this effect might not seem like much, but first off, we check something. It's banish any zombie monster on the field. So with Zombie World active, any monster on the field is a zombie. So what this is saying is then banish any monster on the field, non-targeting. Then you can special summon any monster from the graveyard of the player who controlled it to their field in defense position. Actually, that's not can, it's you must. But yeah, in general, we could do something like an Ash Blossom Joe Spring, which is not that valuable. And of course, non-targeting banish, right? So that's correct. And then we can use this on ourselves as well. So let's say, for example, we have Doom King Ballad Rock in the graveyard, and we have some other card like maybe a Uni Zombie on field. Then we could Return of the Zombies to banish the Uni Zombie and special summon Doom King Ballad Rock to dodge the Cult by the Grave. Or if we're dealing with, like, I don't know, let's say Plasma, or same thing as before with Skill Drain. We can do chain one, whatever monster we have that we're going to use to out the floodgate. It could be any monster really, because of Return of the Zombies and Zombie World, it becomes a zombie as far as we're concerned. And we can banish that card, and then special summon something from our graveyard, which is going to be useful. And we're going to out whatever floodgate we have to out with this that's preventing us from activating monster effects on the field, right? So we can do that, and then it's outed, I guess. But technically, I guess if it was a Plasma, we could banish the Plasma and then special summon something that's not so useful. Like, I don't know, Ferris or something. But, okay. We also have the other effect here of if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle one of your banished zombie monsters into the deck, and if you do, set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So this effect, also pretty cracked in general, because you can use this effect on the same turn we activate this effect here. So if we set this, activate this, we can set this again, and then activate this again the immediate next turn. So that is, for the price of one card, we're able to do two non-targeting banishes, if we want to look at it from that perspective. But of course, there are different usages of this card. We can also use this as a monster reborn, technically. So we can use it like that as well. And this also recycles your banished zombie monsters, in which case you could put back something like a Mizuki for later, just for example. Or if we play like a one of Glow Up Bloom, we can recycle the Glow Up Bloom to send it later to summon another big zombie with a Return of the Zombie. So pretty damn cracked card. And there's just straight up a billion different things this can do. Like, once again, it dodges targeting and stuff. If we are able to chain this to like a droplet or something, we can still resolve an effect. So the downside of this is it's not very searchable. Even less so than Swallow Slash. I have no idea how you would ever search this. Unfortunately, I guess. But the fact that it resets itself is pretty cracked. Let's see. I don't think there's a way to prevent Return of the Zombies from getting banished, though. But if we could do just Return of the Zombies not being banished, we could technically set it over and over again, which is not really possible. If we were to use like a Lancea, we would not be able to use the effect of Return of the Zombies to begin with, so kind of pointless. But I guess if we were able to set up some kind of no cards can be banished type thing, we could keep resetting Return of the Zombies and destroying it with like a Baron or something, which is pretty wild to think about. So that's pretty neat, I guess. And then next card, we have Doom King Ballad Rock. So Doom King, another cracked zombie card. So every single standby phase, Doom King Ballad Rock will come back if a face-up card is in a field zone. So this could be your opponent or yourself. So if your opponent has Zombie World, it might as well be our Zombie World. But anyways, once per chain, when a zombie monster activates its effect, you can either negate that effect or banish one monster from the field or graveyard. If this effect is negated, it doesn't count as you having used the effect. So essentially, until we've used the effect of Doom King Ballad Rock, it hasn't been used. So we could technically activate Doom King Ballad Rock like 4 or 5 times in a turn if our opponent has like a really high attack point, Apollosa, for example. Until I guess Doom King is actually negated by something like, I don't know, an infinite impermanence. So yeah, we have negate that effect. So that's negate any monster effect on either the field or graveyard, essentially. And then we have banish a monster from the field or graveyard. And this is a non-targeting banish that we can use on ourselves if we really feel the need to, which there are use cases for this, honestly. And then banish a monster from either our opponent's field or the graveyard. Of course, non-targeting, which is pretty cracked. So that's just one of the many zombie monsters that feels like, you know, it's good, but somehow you don't have enough good cards to really pop off here. But yeah, we have Jacko Bolan. Jacko Bolan, pretty cracked as well. Except, like, it kind of needs more guys helping it out, I suppose. That's one way to look at it. We can discard one zombie monster, special summon this card from your hand. This, for some reason, is not an inherent summon, which is just like, bruh. I mean, sometimes it's handy that it's not an inherent summon, but most of the time, I guess, considering the type of card it is, yeah, not very useful. But okay, during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in either graveyard. Special summon that monster but banish it when it leaves the field. Then banish this face-up card until the end phase. So this effect could be more cracked if we banish Jacko Bolan for cost. But alright, whatever. This only works on our opponent's main phase, which also kind of sucks. Kind of wish it was just our opponent's turn, period. So we'd be able to activate this during battle as well. But it is what it is, and the card is still good, just in general, regardless. So we can target any zombie monster with Zombie World. This is any monster in either graveyard. So if, for example, our opponent has a Baron de Fleur in the graveyard, that is now our Baron de Fleur, and you will not be getting that Baron de Fleur back if you remove it, because it gets banished when it leaves the field, which is pretty cracked, right? So we can kind of take our opponent's cards from the graveyard and kind of start removing them with play and linking them off with Jacko Bolan. And also Jacko Bolan is kind of an annoying kind of guy to out, I guess, right? So we banish this face-up card until the end phase. Wait, this has to be face-up? So you're telling me if this gets Book of Moon here? This just doesn't banish itself. What? Okay, every time I read some cards, sometimes I feel like they have new text that I've never seen before. This is one of those times, I guess. But all right. We can also reborn our own guys in like main phase 2, so they can't be run over by battle. So we can grab our starters back, like our uni zombie, for example. We can just summon it back with Jacko Bolan for the next turn plays. And of course, when paired with Doom King Ballad Rock, we can use this to chain Doom King Ballad Rock as Chain Link 2 to Jacko Bolan to do the effect to banish as well, which is just pretty good synergy altogether. So I guess we can look at Changi, I guess, and I'll say it. Changi feels like garbage to play because we need essentially 3 cards to make Changi work. Well, with the graveyard effect at least. If you normal summon Changi or something, you don't really have to deal with this. But if this card is banished, you can banish 1 zombie monster in your graveyard. Special summon this card, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So step 1, Changi needs to be in the graveyard. So all right, let's assume we just do a Foolish Burial on Changi. Okay, now Changi is in the graveyard. Or we could Gold Sark it, which would be a little bit better. Then we would still have to Foolish Burial another zombie monster in your graveyard. But that's that'd be Foolish Burialing a card, and then essentially Gold Sarking a card at best. But I mean, it's not realistic to, in my opinion, for the most part, to banish the Changi unless you use Ghost Fusion, which requires so many steps in of itself. Let's assume we Gold Sark Changi and then Foolish Burial a guy. We get to special summon the Changi and then Changi Foolish Burials a guy. And then do you see the issue? All we've accomplished at this point is we just Foolish Burialed the guy. And then if we were to summon Immortal by using Mad Mauler target Changi, all we've done now is we've summoned a level 2 tuner and we Foolish Burialed a single zombie monster. And that's what we have to show for all of this, more or less. So I guess at this point, we could, I don't know, send Mizuki or something, because as a 1 card, this does nothing, even if we summon it to the field. So this is specifically an extender, not a starter. So however you got into Changi is going to be much more valuable, I guess. And of course, I mean, with Gold Sark, it doesn't really work if Changi's in hand, but in archetype with like Zombie World, I guess, because I consider Changi a Zombie World card, kind of, right? We would actually have to send Changi to the graveyard, so we would need 1 card to do that, and then a card to send another zombie somehow, because you don't really have many zombies that special summon. So yeah, there's that, and then you need a 3rd card to banish Changi. That's like 3 for 1 special right there. So yeah, that's pretty miserable. And in terms of cards that banish Changi, I'll tell you the one. We have Gozuki, and then not much else. There's like Ventrid Core, but Core is just dumb because it does banish Changi, but then it takes itself out of the graveyard, so you have nothing to banish with Changi. So we would need to send like essentially 3 zombie monsters just to summon the Changi, which is absolutely ridiculous. But alright. If we at least banish with Gozuki, then we can summon a zombie monster from our hand, is what I would say, except you have to summon a zombie monster from our hand to actually activate Gozuki. So that requires like technically 4 cards if we're using Gozuki to banish Changi, and then Changi banish like Gozuki to summon itself, which is, in my opinion, fairly horrendous, if not very horrendous, actually. So Changi, definitely not that great of a card, in my opinion. We have Immortal Dragon though, which is probably the last card I'll be talking about here. So during your main phase, you can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster and this card. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it with, and it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Immortal Dragon once per turn. So technically, if we were to summon Immortal Dragon, it is completely generic to make, so that's good. What's bad about it? Its level is kind of awkward. Level 6 is just an awkward level, I can't really think of many decks that make Synchro 6. So that's a downside with Immortal, I guess. And then I guess it only Foolish barrels a single zombie monster, which doesn't fully get you places for the most part. If we send one zombie monster, the best one is probably just going to be Banshee to activate Zombie World. And then it hopefully maybe does something. I mean, if your opponent's playing like a Fiend deck, they won't be able to do anything. Maybe-ish, sorta. With like Unchained, you can still kind of play, I guess. So it's like not that great against Unchained specifically. But against like Yubel, this does some things. It forces, well, it prevents your opponent from making like Phantom of Yubel with cards on the field or in the graveyard. So that helps. And it also stops opening of the Spirit Gates, which is also pretty nice, I suppose. But yeah, that's kind of it. But also, I guess with Immortal Dragon, we also have this effect. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle, well, this card is in your graveyard. So if we destroy our own zombie monster by battle by crashing into some guy, we can get another Foolish with Immortal Dragon. Or if our opponent destroys a guy by battle, we can also have Immortal Dragon to get us another Foolish Burial on a later turn. So that effect is actually not like super relevant all the time, but I mean, I'm not going to really complain about this effect. So yeah. Issue with Zombie World essentially is you need 2 cards in graveyard to do thing. All these cards send 1 card. Essentially, that's what it boils down to. So yeah. A lot of these individual cards are good if we look at them as standalone. They're pretty decent. But I think out of all the cards I think are good, Immortal Dragon is probably the worst out of the good ones. So it's technically good, but a good bad card, if that makes sense. I mean, Doom King technically has an issue that some people hate, being like a level 8 monster you can't normal summon, and it can kind of get stuck in hand sometimes. So that's one thing people hate about Doom King sometimes. But I mean, since I play Dark Refer, I am the 1% that enjoy seeing Doom King Ballad Rock in hand, so I don't actually have to send this because we don't play Bloom anymore in a lot of the Zombie World lists nowadays, I don't think, right? So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.